No, we're doing test-driven development. We want to test inside of the time box. Why do we test inside the time box? Why do we test inside the time box? Why is important? You're on mute, James. Go ahead and open up. Brian, but you're unmuted. Let me hear from Brian real quick. Brian, why do we test within the sprint?
So that as the developer is developing, again, with the, especially if it's a Scrum team with those small iterations, you need to know that it's working right. And so you want to make sure that it is going to meet the criteria that was set up in order to pass. And you don't want to find that out at the very end that it didn't. And now you got to go back to the beginning. And now you got to go back to the customer and say, well, we didn't get it that sprint. We'll try to do it this sprint. So you have to bake that into the same time frame.
Absolutely. And it's just not developers, right? What if, so like I said, what about that FDA team that I work with that's creating documents? That still needs a quality check, doesn't it? Right?
Yeah.
So I actually had them do the proofing and the testing before they sent it out. Because before they would just compile, do the interviews, compile, and we got to ship that thing off. I'm like, wait a minute, what about the first two chapters? Let's put that through the quality check. Let's cross the T's and dot the I's on that. What about the second chapter? Let's bring in the clinical team so they can put their eyes on it one more time. And they might say, you know what? After reading this one, I think we need to change this. Oh my God, thank you so much. We're going to put that information into the backlog, reiterate on that next piece of document before they ship it off to Washington, DC. Because once you ship things off to the FDA, there's no going back and forth. It's done. You give it to them and you are done. They're going to either accept it or deny it. You got to start all over again. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And it also costs money to fix bugs at tail end. If you detect them early and you fix them, it costs cheaper than to leave them to when they've gone into production. Way too expensive. So, and it's also helped the Scrum team to get focused, to get because if you start to pile up your bugs, you now need another separate meeting triad to make. No, it's not. And then you need different story points and then money again, because that means extra money will be spent for the extra time that will be used on the bed. If they are done within the sprint, it's just within that sprint that the playing for, and then everything is kept within the sprint. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, because there's a way that you can monetize this stuff. And I'll tell you what, business leaders, they understand when you're wasting money. Really good point, Mr. Dada. And we don't want to build up unnecessary tech debt, right? Now, if it's something really gnarly, unexpected, I can understand that piece. But if it's a bug that comes in, don't even estimate it. Your definition of done for that is like to get it fixed as soon as possible. That's with anything in life, right? If you let it go on, let it go on, what's going to happen, right? It's going to get harder. It's going to get more difficult to kind of unwind that as we go all the way through. Hey, Brian, thank you so much for putting the little explanation for Brittany about Six Sigma is different than Agile, right? It's a process improvement approach that uses stats, drive change decision, adding lean focuses on waste. And that's the component in Scrum where we want to move away from waste to be more efficient, right? So it's about define, measure, analyze, improve, control. So yeah, so this is definitely baked into the Scrum framework. This is what I like about Scrum. It pulls, and it has ideation in it. It has design thinking in it. It has Six Sigma all baked into it together. This is why it's really hard to do Scrum. It's not easy. It's really, really tough to do it. But once organizations really get it down, and again, I start with the executives, and they go, God, Kevin, this is really hard, and they struggle. But once they get through it, they go, oh wow, now we're saving time. I see the benefit from doing these really good patterns and these really good habits. So when I start to train the teams, they're watching leadership like, yep, they're doing their daily Scrum. Yep, the executive action team are meeting. Yep, the executive meta Scrum is meeting 15 minutes after that every day. The teams now say, wow, we have this body that we can pull our impediments up and get them squared away in 1 or 2 days, versus like Mr. Dada said, like ignoring the bugs and sweeping things under the rug. We want to make sure that we can square those things away immediately.
Technical debt is usually a percentage of the sprint.
Yeah. Well, what do you mean by that? Unpack that a little bit more so people can understand what you're saying, James.
Essentially, what you want to do is if you discover there are certain bugs that are in there, okay, you allot a certain amount of time talking to the product owner to go ahead and resolve these bugs.
Right.
Go ahead and bring the quality up, given the fact that, okay, you want to go ahead and minimize technical debt, because the other thing that we also deal with is we also deal with the DevOps side of this, Agile DevOps.
That's right.
The technology that we have there allows us to go ahead and do continuous delivery, but still have control over the release.
Right.
And those are done through toggle switches, where you can go ahead and release to a subset of your customer base, having them test it out before you go ahead and do a full commercial release.
That's right. Test-driven development is the best. I'm pulling up this slide here that I'm glad we're talking about bugs and how things come in. I'm going to demonstrate how a company can actually fix bugs if they're set up the right way. I'm going to share my slide deck with you. Can you see this case study of Rosetta Stone?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so Rosetta Stone, if you don't remember, was a language company, and they produce software to teach you how to, learn different languages. So we're going to say these are different languages. I'm going to pick this. I'm colorblind. Don't laugh at me. Is this pink?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, good. I got that one right. Okay. So, so you have your chief product owner, right? This is the person that owns the value stream. And there's a chief product owner for each set of these teams here. So this color over here, we've got 3 teams down here with 3 product owners, 3 here. This one has 5 teams. This one has 3 teams. So what can typically happen in a day, these teams all meet for 15 minutes. Then the next set of teams, the product owners, they'll meet for 15 minutes, so on and so forth, up the ladder. In about an hour, you can represent 300 or 400 or 500 people. So here we go. So a bug comes in, all right? The chief product owners get together, go, wait a minute, whose is that? They goes, that's me, Spanish language. I actually speak Spanish a little bit too. Yep, that's our bug. So I'm going to talk to my product owners now, right? Like, hey guys, there's a bug that come in. Whose is it? This product owner is going to go, hey, that's mine, but my buffer is really full. I just don't have the capacity to do it. The other product owner, because we're a team sport and we're team players, they'll say, you know what? I can take it in. My buffer is not full. We're not as good as the other team, but we can still drive it to done. This is a really fast way to set up your organizations when things come in, quick identifying it within an hour or so, identifying who can do it. They pull it into their backlog and they drive it to done. So a really quick visualization on how to scale your organization and get bugs wiped out really quickly.